Hi, this video is about the SiteAudit reporting website. The reporting website is an ASP.NET website that runs on IIS that allows you to um, create or pull reports about any information that exists in your site audit views. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to start off by just going in. We'll do the demo first, and then after that we'll just talk about the architecture and any questions that anyone might have. So first of all, this is the Site Audit Viewer, and you must be licensed to use the feature of a reporting website. And how you can tell if you have the license is if you go to the Diagnostics, Configuration Details. Here we'll see license information, and under license features you should see something called web reports. If you have web reports, that means that you have access to use the reporting website. Okay, and yeah, so let's just show a little bit of that. Now, by default, when you install this, it gets installed in C Program Files Netaphor Site Audit, and there's a folder in here called the reporting website. Again, it's an ASP.NET website. You'll have a web.config here and a sitemap file. And so you can basically do anything with this site that you can do with typical ASP.NET websites. For instance, you can restrict which users have access to reports and which reports they can see. And we also offer the ability to customize the look and feel of the site. So by default, we have a theme here, and if you want, you can try out this sample theme, and we have instructions on how to create your own look and feel of your reporting website if you decide to do that. Also, what's included in this folder is a bunch of sample reports. So there's about 70 to 75 reports that come with the product by default that you can use as a starting point, or you can just use those reports directly. So let's just take a look and see. So I'm just going to navigate to the reporting website here on my system. I think I have a link here. Yeah. Okay, this is it. And by default, it's going to be pointing to whichever customer database that the Site Audit Viewer is pointed to. You can see over here that I'm logged in with a integrated security account. So even if you were using a SQL account, you could still restrict access to the reports. So by default, there's all these folders here, and there should be one folder that match for each view in the Site Audit Viewer. For instance, your inventory, we have lifetime counters, volumes, consumables, SLA analysis, problem analysis, and then there's other things like move, add, change events, office reports, and various things. And I won't get into the details about all the different types of reports, but we'll just run a few and you can take a look. Okay, so one of the simplest reports, the one would be an inventory report, and here's one called General Inventory. And for each report, basically it is a template. And what I mean by that is within Site Audit, you are able to configure a view that ultimately gets turned into one of these reports that you can see in the reporting website. And so you can do all kinds of things such as, moving columns around, or if you don't want to see certain data, you can hide it. You can do sorting, grouping, various things like that. In each view, you have a column chooser here so you can bring up other columns. So maybe you want to know what the firmware version is of a device, what its DNS name is, MAC address, when it was last communicated with, or various information like that. So maybe you want to know the SNMP version that the device was discovered with. So you can set up your report however you want it, and once you do that, you save what we call your view file, and then you publish it to the reporting website. And once it's up there, it's a template. And so anytime you run it, it's going to go to the Site Audit database, and it's going to collect data, whatever current data exists in that database, to populate your report based on this time span you have here. So for example, let's suppose that we were looking at volumes or maybe lifetime counters, and you wanted to see the volume over a specific time period. Now this is just a small sample that I ran here locally, so I don't really have any volumes in this sample, but what you could do is you could say, well, show me the volume for last week, or show me the volume for this week, or last quarter, or this month, and then you can create a report out of that. One thing that a lot of people like to do is they'll create a report based on the volumes, and they'll set it for say this month or last month. And what that means, let's suppose that you set this for that last month and you save this report to the reporting website. Let's say you come out here to volume analysis, and so there's a report out here says the volume for the last 30 days or volume last month. So anytime I run a report, it's going to go to the database and it's going to collect the last 30 days of volumes that have been printed. Okay, if I had this configured to so you could say last 30 days. If I had it to last month and say I ran it on April 6th, it's going to give me the entire volume for March, no matter when I run it in April. So essentially that's what happens. So let's just run a report, and I'm going to do an inventory, and these are the different types that you can create: a PDF, XML, HTML. I'm just going to run an HTML report. And it's going out to the database right now, and it's pulling in all the current data based on the criteria that I specified, the different columns, the time span, the order, and everything. And this is my report. Okay, and what I want to do is show you how easy it is to change or customize a report. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to SiteAudit, and I'm going to open that report. Okay, so I'm going to go to Program Files, Netaphor, SiteAudit. I'll go to my reporting website, and I'm going to find that report in inventory. Here it is, general inventory, and I'm going to open that. And you can see here at the top it shows that we have this view, and I'm going to come in here to layout. Sometimes this takes 10-15 seconds to bring this up. But I'm going to just make some quick little changes. I'm going to show you how easy it is to update your reports. So if you don't like the look or the content that's in the report that we have here, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the page color. Okay, let's make it, I don't know, purple. And you can see here we have the date and time at the top, name of the report. You know, you can add other headers and footers, orientation. I'm going to just change the color just so you can see that. And I'm also going to get rid of a bunch of columns just so it's obvious that we changed this report. And I'm going to save it. And I'm going to come back out here and refresh this report. And you can see now we have the new report with the columns and the fields that we want. Okay, so it's that easy to change any report that's already created. And now what I'll do is I'll show you how you can create your own report in SiteAudit. So I'm going to start by resetting my views back to the factory default. And I'm just going to do another one here based on, actually let me just go here and say no. Okay, and then I'm going to reset my views. I already reset them. And I'm going to create a new report. Okay, so I don't need the hardware address, connection. I don't like the printer name, output type. I do want the device status. So I'll say manufacturer, model, the device status, serial number, and then I'm going to add a few new columns. And maybe I want a security report. So I want to see what the community string was, if there was one, security level and version, and if there's any open ports out here. It doesn't look like I have any, so that's pretty secure site. Since I'm using SNMPv3, there's no community string associated with that. And maybe I want to see when I last successfully talked to this device. So you could see this here hasn't been run for quite some time. All right, so that's the report that I want to create. And Basically, anytime I run this report against any of my customers, it's going to pull that customer's data from the database and populate the report. All right, so let me just save this. I'll save it to my desktop. I'm just going to overwrite that one, say yes. All right, so now it's saved to my desktop. And what I can do is I have two options. I can go to my desktop and copy this report right here. And I can go back and let's go into inventory and I'll paste this in here. Okay, you see it's called inventory. I'm just going to name it something so it'll be obvious. I'll name it Ken. Okay. So now if I come back out here and let's just go back to inventory, here's Ken's report. And when I run it, it's very generic because I didn't make any modifications to it. All right, so that's really how easy it is to create a new report, but I just want to do a little bit more. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go to the layout. I'm sorry, before I do that, let me just open the report that I just saved. There's two ways to open that. I can come in here in recent views and just open it. Okay, so now it's open and I'm going to go to layout. And typically what I do is I'll add some header and footer information. Maybe I want to say who printed it and at what date and time they printed this report and how many pages it has. Okay, and maybe change the color. We'll make it silver. And you notice how if I run this in HTML, how the columns are all scrunched up here. Typically what I'll do is I'll change the layout to landscape. And I'll set the size to my largest paper size that I might happen to have here. And now if I run it in HTML, it'll look more like this. If you're creating a Excel report or something like that, it doesn't matter because you can adjust the columns in there as you want. So that's it. I'm going to hit that and I'm going to hit save. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to copy it back out there. Actually, desktop right here. And I'll go back and I'll just put it, like I said, in the default folder here. So I'm going to replace this one that exists. Okay. And now when I come back out here and I go to my reports, here's the inventory report that I just created. Okay, very good. Okay, so let's move on now to some actual more technical information about the reporting website. Okay, so this is the architecture of the site, and this is for on-site. So basically this is your service provider, whoever's managing your customer. They can link to the database, the SiteAudit database, to do configuration, and then we have a data collection agent that goes out and collects data from all your devices and stores it into the SQL Server database. From here then, the MPS provider can request a report from the reporting website, in which case the IIS reporting website just communicates directly with the SQL Server database to get that data and populates a report over here. In the case where you're in a hosted environment, and that's where your customers are remote, it's pretty much the same. The difference is these customers are in remote locations. The data collection agent is remotely on their site, and data is sent encrypted through the cloud to your data center where you have your customer databases. And the MPS provider is external to that data center as well, but he can access each of his customers' database to configure them, to do reporting and see information on those databases. And he can do everything that he needs to for this customer remotely. Database, he can connect to the reporting website to run a report. Okay, so that's basically the architecture and an overview of the reporting website. So if there's any questions or anything like that, just feel free to ask.